By all accounts, an absolutely significant day as Red Cross is marking the celebrations, really looking at the journey, but also celebrating their volunteers, really who work in very precarious circumstances all over the world, in so many parts here in the continent. You look at the current situations, the areas of conflict, but also in areas really where the humanitarian aid is desperately needed. And joining us now is the head here in Southern Africa, Jules. Thank you so much indeed, sir, for your time. So, by all means, an exceptionally wonderful day as you acknowledge the volunteers. Tell us about the significance of today.
Yeah, thank you for your time as well to join us today for this celebration. I think we want to celebrate the great work done by our volunteers around the world. And here we are speaking around 8 million volunteers, which is the largest humanitarian network in the world, combining 192 national Red Cross and Red Crescent societies in all countries in the world, and the International Federation of the Red Cross and the Red Cross societies, and ICRC has International Committee of the Red Cross. We work mainly in areas affected by the armed conflict and other situations of violence. We came to celebrate our volunteers based on the spirit driven by the creator of the Red Cross movement, Red Cross and Red Crescent movement, Mr. Henri Dunant, who was born in May, 8th of May, 1828 in Switzerland. This is why we celebrate during the month of May. It's a great celebration because most of the Red Cross and Red Crescent members around the world, they work with their heart to provide services to the communities. Communities affected by different crises, armed conflicts, other situations of violence. We have natural disasters, we have man-made disasters, we have epidemics, we have pandemics like COVID-19, where we saw all volunteers mobilized, including in South Africa, being very close to their communities and providing priceless activities and support to the loved one. I think this is a great celebration and a day we want really to reward their memories, to salute their commitment to the Red Cross and Red Crescent activities.
And also just looking at the context of the continent. I mean, you look at the armed conflicts, we see the growth of these conflicts. I would imagine it's really puts pressure on your resources, but during your address, you made a very important plea to the donors to continue to support your work in terms of making sure that you're able to fulfill quite a very important obligation.
Indeed. As may recall, ICRC is present in Africa since 1935. And we saw escalation of conflict in many countries. Today we talk about 33 armed conflict and situations of violence in Africa. Many countries are affected. There are many children, they are born in the places, they only know war. The parents only know war and instabilities. Today they are displaced, tomorrow they are migrant, and they don't have access to the basic services because of insecurity sometimes in the hard-to-reach areas where we have to work with the national societies. Now the problem that we saw, whenever there is a conflict on the continent, they last longer. We call them protracted armed conflict, sometimes lasting for 50 years. And in 50 years, without the resolutions, it's impacting on life cycle, life sectors. It can be education, it can be also health, basics, access to the basic services, access even to economic infrastructures that could help communities to engage to their own life and to get more autonomy. We saw the raising of humanitarian needs. I want to recall a few cases, like Mozambique was in a peaceful country, but today we have armed conflict in the northern Mozambique. Sudan, just we know what is happening there. We have the situation in Tigray, in Ethiopia. We do still have protracted armed conflict in the DRC, Central African Republic, Libya, Western Africa, in Mali, Niger, all these countries around Africa still under war, which is really a big problem because you have rising need. But we also have less capacities to respond because we depend on the donors. That's why we call those who can support us to provide protection and assistance to those who are affected by different crises in Africa. That will be very much appreciated.